Well, after my divorce, I gave up on trying to be perfect, right? Or pretending I had ever been perfect. And today I just proved it. I've done lots of good things here to this boat, but today was my multiple attaboys were just erased by another oh shit. I think I lost the oar on the boat. Alright, so it's a good time to have a lessons learned video, because I paddled into town with the dinghy, and when I got back to the government dock, one of the oars was missing. That's the bottom line. It's like shit. Very, very difficult to row an inflatable dinghy with two oars against the wind. So against the wind with one oar, no way. So I paid a dude 1,500 pesos to get a tow. And I'm here, I got water to drink, food to eat, drinking my green tea, so I'll be fine, but it's just stupid, you know. So that'll be one of the topics in our lessons learned video. And now, lessons learned. Let's talk about things we've learned in the last 4, 5, 6 months, okay? Late January, location, Luberon. In the middle of Tropical Storm Isaiah, so we got a couple of rainy days with all the hatches closed up. So what things have I learned in the 4 months that I was working on Skipjack, trying to get her ready? And what other things might I have learned right here for the last 3 weeks sitting on a mooring ball in Luberon? So, listo, let's get ready, let's go. At a high level, what have I learned about myself? This is a selfish thing, and this is a quickie. So, what I've learned about myself in the last 4 to 6 months, on August 5th, I left employment with the naval energy company, which was a wonderful time. I enjoyed the hell out of working there for 3.5 years, but the time had come to shift gears, and it was about 4 months, almost to the day, of working on the boat in Scotland. We got the boat put together, we got it painted, we got electric systems squared away, inspected water tanks. We did a lot of stuff in 4 months, and we floated the boat, and she's floating still. So successful, but I learned things along the way, and since then I've lived in Colombia for a month, and I've lived in the Dominican Republic for now 3.5 weeks, and going on another month. I'll be spending all of February here. So what has Russ learned? Okay, this is a quickie and it's easy. Okay, so combined between between my time in Scotland living on the boat and living here on a mooring field, living on a different boat, here's what I've learned. Number one, this lifestyle suits me just fine. Social distancing, no problem. Living alone or in a very small environment, no problem. Living a very simple life, no problem. I don't miss work. I don't miss a house. I don't miss a car. I don't miss anything, you know, none of it. So I think it's good to assess, you know, and I can tell you right now, this lifestyle suits me, and I'm just looking forward to getting my skipjack up in Scotland on the move, you know. I think I'm well suited to this lifestyle. Enough said. Okay, lesson 2, to anybody else out there considering it, just go. Don't wait, don't wait, don't wait. Don't wait till conditions are perfect or you'll never go. So, 2 key lessons learned from me. Big picture is that this lifestyle is suited to me, or I'm suited to it, but I was not very well prepared for this lifestyle. Administratively, I am just a mess. I mean, I thought I was pretty well squared away. I had a bank account with Discover, and I learned about back in November that the Discover ATM debit card will not work outside the US. And I'm going, how in the hell could I have figured that out now? Something I could have easily figured out while I was in Abu Dhabi, but I didn't. You know, I had a great bank with Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. I love those guys. Their debit card worked everywhere on the planet, and I thought, like a fool, that all of them did. But no, not if you ever discover a bank account. So that's something I've got to unfuck. Okay, I'm pardon my language. Something I've got to solve. Okay. Skipjack is not yet insured. Okay, and that's because I've had difficulty finding an insurance company. All I wanted was a liability-only policy, and ideally a policy for the boat in case I crashed it or in case I got broken into and everything was stolen. But because Skipjack is made of steel, most insurance companies in the US won't touch it. That's just the way it is. So I haven't moved forward on that yet. So now my boat is registered though. It's registered in the state of Delaware in the US. You can make fun of what we call third world or second world countries that are developing, but fuck that, you know. The US Coast Guard National Vessel Documentation Center is a complete disaster. They don't care about doing a good job, and they don't care that they don't care. They're a bunch of civil servants who just do a shitty job and they just don't care. So I finally gave up with them. It cost me a few $100s and they just won't do it, you know, and horrible. Moving on, because I don't want to dwell on negativity, right? We're going to focus on moving forward. So one other negative is Google. So if you want to post things to YouTube, you have to have a Google account. And if you're a traveling person, as I am, and you log on from strange locations, when I attempt to log on, I get a message saying that's a suspicious logon attempt, and they'll send a secret code to my backup email, which they do. I enter that into my Google sign-in, which I do fine, and then it accepts it, and it says, congratulations, you're successful. Now it wants me to reset my password. So I reset it, and I attempt to log in again, and I get the same message. It's a suspicious login. And you can't get out of that endless do-loop. And I'm telling you, folks, this is a very real problem, because one of these days, I am not going to be able to log into Google at all. And if I can't log into Google, I cannot upload anything, and that's that. That's that. I don't know any solutions, so I'm reaching out to my friends here. If there's any solutions, I'd love to hear about it, okay? I like this platform, I like YouTube, but YouTube went and got itself bought by friggin' Google, and it just sucks now. So, we don't know. I mean, about 2 weeks ago, I thought we're done. You know, I thought we were done, because So a lot of my friends here ask, why don't you stay on? You've got a good job, you're looking at a promotion. Why not just stay here for another 5-10 years and put some big money into the bank? And I think, yeah, I could do that. That is an option to me. But there's something missing inside of me professionally. Something that hasn't been inside me for years, since probably 2015 is when I had a rough patch. That's when I lost my father. Just before that, my mother before that. In 2015, lost my marriage and lost my brother. And it's somewhere in there is when you make the decision that life is too damn short. So I'm going to be leaving Abu Dhabi in 6 months, whether I'm ready or not. Yeah, it's interesting looking at myself over a year ago. So perspective can be pretty darn helpful. For the rest of this episode, we're going to focus on tangible lessons that we've learned. Okay, that's it. So, what would I do if I had to buy a different boat? Suppose the COVID lockdowns lasted forever. Suppose my sweetheart could not get out of the Philippines. Suppose I was never allowed to enter Europe, you know, and the whole plan is just shot to hell from the get-go. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to friggin' sell that boat. And I hate to sell it because I love the boat, but there's a million other boats for sale out there in this world, and I'm going to carry on with my lifestyle, as we've discussed. Whether it's in a 16-foot open canoe or whether it's in my 13-meter steel boat. So we don't know. We might sell the boat. And if we sell the boat, then it begs the question, what is the next boat going to look like? Okay. I just spilled the last of my rum. Oh my God. Okay. Be okay. Rum left. Yeah, so if I were to get a different boat, what would it be? That's a toughie. I think that if I got another boat, I would downsize, and I would get a boat that is simpler, okay? And I would get, ideally, I would go look for in the oldest Taiwanese built boat, solid fiberglass boat that I could find. I wouldn't buy steel again. I wouldn't buy aluminum, depending where you're from. I wouldn't buy wood for sure. I would buy fiberglass, but I would not buy a cord construction fiberglass unless I just couldn't find anything else. I would buy an older solid fiberglass boat. Okay, I would want a 3/4 keel, probably not a full keel. And here's some of the features I would look for to have or to not have. Ideally, I would have just tiller steering. I would have a clear transom so that I could put a wind vane at the back. We'll get to davits in a moment. Okay, I would love to have a pilot house design again, but it would have to have outside steering and helm control and bow thruster control, and Skipjack doesn't have that. I can only drive Skipjack from the inside. I would ideally not have hydraulic steering. Again, tiller steering would be my preference. Hydraulic steering is just more things that can go wrong, and I wouldn't buy an electronic auto helm. I would set myself up so a wind vane will keep my course. Okay. So, after 2 days, the sun's finally coming out. So, tropical storm, Isaiah's moving on. All right, that's fine. Okay, so I would ideally not have a gray water system, and I damn sure wouldn't have a shower sump pump like this boat has. This boat has a shower sump pump, which is just stupid. I think, for me, I'd route all the drains via hose right to the bilge and just have a kick-ass series of bilge pumps in my bilge. A primary, secondary, tertiary, and a manual. That's what I would do. So, I would say keel cooling, that was a yes. Composting toilet, that was a yes. Okay, I would definitely be thrilled if I got that again. If I had a boat with no roller furling, that would be just fine with me. I think they're a pain in the ass. All I see is things that can break. I would absolutely not have in-mast roller furling for the main, like this boat has. I would maybe accept a boom furling system, which I had on a 33-foot Glander. Because the boom, you can easily take off and repair yourself, both ends of the bearing. But if the mast roller furling goes all the way to the top and it gets hung up, you can't unfurl or furl your main, and you're shit out of luck if that happens. So, let's see here. No for windlasses. Okay, now I have on my boat, I've got a power windlass and I've got a manual windlass. But with that, and that sounds lovely because I've got heavy friggin' anchors. Again, go back to my comment about downsizing. I've got a heavy boat that's 17 tons and I've got heavy anchors and I've got 2 windlasses. But what I don't have is the ability to just walk off the bow and chunk an anchor in the water with chain. You know, I can't do it because both of them pass through windlasses. And I don't like that vulnerability. I want a stern anchor as well. I want the ability to do both. And as part of the anchoring system, the hawser pipes that you see on Skipjack, which is like the hole in the side of the boat that the anchor chain goes through, absolutely bad idea. That's fine for military ships when you have an entire deck department to manage your chains and all that. But on a small sailboat, it's just not, there's no advantage gained. You know, it looks cool, but it looks classic, and I do think it does, but you know, it just future trouble to me. So I would never have hawser pipes again. I'm happy that I don't have wind speed or direction instrumentation on top of my mast. Don't need them, don't want them, and I wouldn't put those on. Bow thrusters, if I have a bigger boat, if it's anything bigger than 38 foot and the boat came with a bow thruster, absolutely. If I had one of those 24-ton heavy displacement sailboats, that would probably be on my list to install, you know, bow thruster in my first haul out. So let's talk more about, well, what would I do differently, you know, I don't know, schedule wise. So what I would never do again is buy a boat that was not ready that day to go to sea. That's my biggest lessons learned from my overall project review, is that I'm susceptible to getting comfortable in a work environment where it's, you show up to work every day, you work on your boat, and one day you think, I'll get in the water. But now that I've got Skipjack in the water, I've gotten comfortable, and you can become lethargic and get to the point where you really almost timid, and you can become afraid of getting out to sea. And I don't even know if my boat will sail well. We've discussed that. So I think what I would do next time, buy any boat let's say, and the first thing I would do is take that boat on a 2-week haul. Let's suppose I bought a boat in Miami. The first thing I'm doing is heading for the dry Tortugas, okay? And I'm going to anchor there live at anchor for a week, and then I'm going to sail back to Miami. And by the time I get back, I'll say, all right, I know what I want to do differently. In my boat, I was living in Abu Dhabi. I had enough money. I could do all sorts of stuff to the boat, but you end up kind of getting the building D23 mentality where, you know, I don't move. I'm like the USS Neversail that is on the pier in Norfolk that just doesn't go anywhere. So again, that's a big difference for me, what I would do differently. Now let's talk about things I've learned here in Luperon. Okay, so Luperon is an awesome place. I mean, I like it here. I definitely like the lifestyle. I like the people. I like the restaurant over there where we mingle in the evenings. I mean, I've learned that I don't like a Catalina 31, but I would never buy one of these anyway. So what I've learned here living on a mooring field is that you got to pay attention to your dinghy. That's the bottom line. That's going to be a whole new episode in that what's the best type of dinghy. That will be the new episode. But the reality is when you're on a mooring field or you're at long-term anchorage for more than a day or two, that dinghy is your freaking lifeline. It's no different than your car in the driveway where you say, hey, let's buzz out to Walgreens, and you run to Walgreens. Well, that doesn't happen on a sailboat unless your dinghy runs and runs well, and every human on the crew can use it. So what I see here, just based on observations, is well, maybe the guy is a really good two-stroke outboard mechanic, and he has to know how to pull the choke just right and how to do this just right, and the woman is sitting there thinking, well, shit, I can never jump in the car and go like it was a Toyota Camry sitting in a driveway. Excellent points, and that's the one thing I've learned is appreciate your dinghy and make sure that everybody can use it and it was 100% reliable. How to handle the dinghy is a whole nother set of questions, which we'll talk about in the next episode, the dinghies. Other things I've learned out here is the water power. You know, two things I take for granted in Scotland, which you cannot take for granted. Even though I have big tankage on Skipjack, I don't have any real good way to replenish. What you do here is you get these 5-gallon bottles and you manually, you know, get them onto your boat somehow. And so how you do it is up to you. It would be solved if I had a really big funnel. The problem would be almost gone. You know, but when you shove off from the dock and you're going on a cruising lifestyle, you need to be prepared for the fact that you got to be able to sample the water when you buy water. If you're at a dock, you can go to the water at the dock and you can fill up, but you don't know if the water's good, so you got to sample it first. If you buy bottled water, you might assume the water's good, as I did here, but you got to manually get maybe 40, 50, 60 gallons of water into a dinghy, run it out to your boat, get it out of the dinghy onto the sailboat, and somehow get it into the tank. And the tank is in a friggin' inaccessible location. It might be under your main bunk. Power. When you're connected to a pier and you're on shore power, life is easy. You can run air conditioners, you can run all sorts of stuff, any power tool you have, any cooking appliance you can imagine. But when you're on a mooring ball, your AC power is limited to what comes out of your inverter. You can put in a really big inverter and all it's going to do is suck down your battery power. So you have to have a way of charging your battery. Solar is good, wind is good, running the engine is not as good, and having a separate generator is possible. So there's, again, it's not a problem that I'm going to solve here for us. I'm just saying that it's something that, you know, you have to... Sorry about that, getting distracted here. Yeah, but it's a problem that you do have to think about and figure out how you're going to solve it. On this boat, we only have one battery, so it's been excellent training for me in living with very, very small power loads. And if you think charging laptops and mobile phones and iPads is negligible, you're wrong. You can drain a battery from 12.2 volts to 11.6 overnight, as it just did, you know, a single battery. So think about that. You know, your power usage is not something to ignore. When you're sitting at the dock, it's easy to ignore it. Alright, so another lesson learned, rather two of them that go together, is when you make a transition, as I did, going from Abu Dhabi's lifestyle to Scotland's, I found that I wasn't working out as much. And I thought for sure once I left Scotland and I got to some beach place that I could exercise more reliably, but I found the opposite is true. And it's gotten even worse here on the boat. So that's a lesson learned. How to maintain good diet with a very, very minimal kitchen, very, very minimal food storage. So the bottom line is I'm quite sure that I haven't done a great job of that. I've eaten bad foods too much. I've got a Coke sitting in front of me because I do like sweets. It's very easy to buy bad foods, processed foods, prepackaged foods, heavily preserved foods. They keep well on the boat and you can eat them at any day or hour, but you don't typically get the good stuff. And you can't eat cookies every day, stuff like that. You can't subsist on 5 packages of Oreos and 2 Cokes. So another part of that, and it goes together, is exercise. I can feel it, that I haven't exercised enough. This boat, the configuration, I'm looking around the cabin here, there is not one spot where you can just lie flat on the floor and stretch your legs or do yoga stretches. It's very difficult to do topside too. The cockpit is very cluttered. So one lesson learned for me has been I've got to find a way to crack the code with exercise and with diet. With diet, it should be easier because I know other cruisers do it. Hey, thanks for watching, guys. It was a difficult video for me because I tend to ramble. That's why I'm not going to ramble now. Hey, we're not trying to be perfect here at Skipjack Sailing. We're just trying to tell the truth and do our best every day and try to get better. So again, thanks a lot for watching. The lessons learned are being written down and I am going to put them on my Facebook page. So again, thanks a lot for watching. Take care, guys.